Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to India.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, it is. We're going to be talking about their public infrastructure. And,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you think that's boring, but
Ah.
it gets really interesting
Hmm.
because we're going to be looking at it through this lens of
Okay.
tolerance, like how tolerance plays a role in shaping the infrastructure of a country.
I like it.
Yeah. So we've got this paper called Toleration and Transformation: Understanding India's Public Infrastructure Challenges,
Okay.
which is a mouthful.
Yeah.
But it's a really fascinating paper. And, we know that India is a rising economic power,
Yes.
but their infrastructure is often really lagging behind, and that
Yeah.
impacts millions of people every day.
Right.
So how can a nation with such incredible potential struggle with something as basic as,
Yeah.
consistent power
Yeah.
or reliable roads?
It is a fascinating paradox.
Yeah, it really is.
We often think of infrastructure as the physical stuff like concrete and steel, wires.
Yeah.
But this deep dive looks at the psychological and social dynamics as well.
Okay, so to understand all of that,
Yeah.
tolerance, all that stuff, we need to go back in time a little bit.
Yeah. Let's rewind.
Yeah, rewind. Okay, so the paper talks about British colonial rule.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly. So back then, infrastructure projects,
Mm-hmm.
they were mainly designed to serve British interests.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Think ports to ship out resources,
Right.
railways for troops, and, just administrative buildings for
Sure.
maintaining control.
Right, yeah.
So it wasn't really about setting India up for success long term.
Right, yeah.
It was
But,
about...
yeah, it's for them.
Exactly.
For them, yeah. So
Yeah.
they were kind of building a house on a
Yeah.
foundation of sand, really.
Yeah, very apt analogy. And all of those problems really became apparent
Right.
when India got its independence. They launched all these ambitious projects,
Yeah.
but the population was booming at the same time.
Yeah.
And urbanization was happening so fast. It's
Right.
imagine trying to build a house while your family just keeps growing.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone has different ideas about what they need.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, let me cook
In the kitchen.
your recipe for complications.
Yeah. So that brings us to this idea of tolerance.
Okay.
People get what they're willing to tolerate,
Mm.
the paper argues, and that this applies to infrastructure.
Yeah.
So are we saying that by tolerating subpar infrastructure, people are kind of allowing it to just keep going?
That's the core argument.
Okay.
Yeah. The research suggests that over time, people just become,
Yeah.
desensitized to
Yeah.
inadequate public services, and they adapt. They find workarounds,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't necessarily demand better.
Right. They just kind of live with it.
They accept it, yeah, as a part of life.
But why, though? Why would people put up with this? I
Yeah.
mean, who wants to deal with, potholes all the time and power outages,
The paper breaks it down
Right.
into 4
Yeah.
key factors.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So the first one's cultural resilience.
Okay.
And India as a nation, they have this incredible ability to endure hardship. It's a quality that's helped them overcome
Yeah.
countless challenges.
Throughout history, yeah.
But it can be,
A double-edged sword.
exactly.
Kinda.
Because when you're constantly overcoming obstacles, you kind of develop this,
Acceptance.
acceptance, a sense of resignation.
Yeah.
Well, this is just how things are.
Right. This is how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So resilience in this case can be
Yeah.
barrier to demanding something better.
Precisely.
Okay. What's the second one?
The second one is a lack of awareness and engagement.
Ah.
So a lot of citizens might not even be aware
Mm-hmm.
of their right to demand better.
Right.
They might not know how to hold authorities accountable
Right.
or what standards of quality they should expect.
They're in the dark, literally and
Of course.
figuratively, yeah.
Yeah.
When the power's out.
Yeah. And it's also compounded by this disconnect
Mhm.
from civic and political processes. So
Yeah.
people might not feel empowered to speak up,
Right.
or they don't know how to do it effectively.
Okay. So it's you don't know your rights and you don't know how to
Exactly.
exercise them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about number 3?
Number 3 is economic pressures,
Okay.
which I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of people, survival is the priority.
Of course. Yeah.
Putting food on the table,
Yeah.
taking care of their families. So that kind of overshadows everything else.
When you're just trying to get by,
Yeah.
campaigning for better roads just feels like
Fine.
immediate needs versus
Yeah.
long-term aspirations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, finally we get to the fourth factor,
Ooh,
which is
here we go.
politics.
Oh,
And, things get a little more
interesting.
interesting here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the research suggests that politicians in India often prioritize
Okay.
short-term populist measures
Okay.
over long-term investment,
Like what? Like, give us an example.
like promising a subsidy,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or a handout.
Yeah.
That's a quick win
Okay.
for votes, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't address the underlying issue of, like, a
Right.
crumbling transportation network.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone.
Exactly.
It looks better for a second, but
It illustrates the short-sightedness.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got this historical baggage.
Yeah.
We've got these 4 factors all contributing to like this tolerance.
Mhm.
But what's the impact? What are the real consequences of all this? Yeah. That's where things get a little more serious because the research doesn't just talk about these issues like in a vacuum.
Okay.
It really pinpoints the
Yeah.
areas where this really hits people's lives.
Okay. So we set the stage.
You set the stage.
Now let's see what the real impact is.
Yeah, where the rubber hits the road.
Mhm.
And that's what we'll be exploring next. It's not just about, bumpy roads
You're right.
and the occasional power cut. It's about a nation's potential being held back
Okay.
by this shaky foundation.
All right. Then let's dive into those consequences.
Yeah.
This is where the rubber really
Yeah.
hits the road. So we talked about all the stuff that leads to this tolerance, the history and
Right.
the reasons why people kind of put up with it.
Yeah.
But, like, what happens when a nation just accepts this? What are the consequences of just
Yeah.
living with this?
That's where it gets real.
Yeah.
This isn't just some theory.
Yeah.
Like, it really impacts people's lives. And the research, like, pinpoints 4 areas where it really...
Okay. Lay it on us.
Okay. So the first one, it's probably not that surprising.
Oh,
The economy.
okay.
It impacts business costs,
Right.
logistics,
Yeah.
competitiveness.
Of course.
And, the World Bank,
Mm-hmm.
they estimate that, like, bad infrastructure
Yeah.
costs India billions
Billions. Wow.
every year.
That's not nothing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, transportation bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Goods are stuck in transit for days
Right.
because the roads are bad.
Yeah.
Or the rail.
Right.
It's not just an inconvenience.
Right. It costs money.
It's increased costs for businesses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Delays and deliveries
Yeah.
and,
It just slows everything down.
less efficient.
Yeah. And it's like, in today's world, you can't be slow.
Exactly.
You just can't. It's like running a race with your shoelaces tied together.
Exactly. You just can't keep up.
You can't.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so...
And then, you've got the human cost.
Yeah.
You've got the health and safety implications.
Yeah.
So, like, poor sanitation,
Yeah.
water supply,
Mhm.
that leads to,
A lot of
a
problems.
range of health issues.
Yeah.
Especially for vulnerable populations.
Of course.
So we're talking about, increased rates
Yeah.
of waterborne diseases,
Yeah.
malnutrition,
Yeah.
infant mortality.
Oh, right.
So it's not just about, like,
Right.
numbers,
Yeah. Right. It's people.
real people,
Yeah.
real lives.
It's heavy stuff.
And it's not just about, like, clean water and sanitation.
Mhm.
The paper talks about unsafe roads and bridges.
Right.
I mean, India has one of the highest road fatality rates
Yeah, that's scary.
in the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of those accidents
Yeah.
are because of the road conditions.
Yeah. And I imagine, on top of all of that, like, daily life is just harder. Yeah, exactly. I mean, imagine,
Yeah.
like, you can't rely on public transport.
Right.
So it's, a struggle to get to work or school.
Yeah.
You've got power outages all the time,
Hmm.
disrupting businesses.
Right.
Education.
Yeah.
It's
just hard.
water shortages.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, you're just constantly battling, like,
Railing,
these deficiencies.
Right.
And all of that impacts,
Yeah.
productivity, education, well-being.
Right. Because you're just trying to get by.
You're just trying to get by.
You can't
So
throw.
you're just trying to cope.
It's like a hidden tax almost.
Yeah,
On your time and your energy.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about, the environment. Like,
Yeah.
these projects can really damage the environment.
Yeah.
Disrupt ecosystems,
Right.
pollution, deforestation.
Yeah. It's not just what's already there.
Right.
It's how we build the new stuff.
It's how we build the new stuff.
Right.
So we've looked at the history.
The
Yeah.
reasons for this tolerance and the consequences.
Right.
It's kind of a bleak picture.
Yeah, it's a little heavy.
But there is hope.
Okay, good.
And that's what's so great about this research.
Yeah.
It gives us a roadmap for change,
Okay.
some strategies for building a better future.
Okay, well, let's get into that then.
Yeah.
We've talked about all the problems. Let's see what we can do
Let's see what we can do.
about them. All right, so we've talked about the history, why people tolerate this,
Right.
and what the consequences are.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about solutions. How do we make things better? What can we actually do?
Well, the good news is
Okay.
this paper doesn't just complain about the problems.
You okay?
It gives us a roadmap for change.
All right, I like it.
Yeah.
So, like, where do we even begin?
Well, it starts with the people,
Okay.
civic education
Right.
or engagement.
Yeah, okay.
Informed citizens are empowered citizens.
Yeah, because if people don't know their rights
Right.
or, like, how to,
Hold their leaders accountable.
Exactly.
Then nothing's going to change.
Yeah, you got to move beyond that
Right.
resignation and, like, give people the tools
Yeah.
to demand better.
Okay, so, what does that look like?
So the paper suggests,
Yeah.
awareness campaigns,
Yeah.
getting the community involved,
Right.
using social media.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
To get people talking about it.
exactly.
So it's not just about,
Right.
waiting for the government
Yeah.
to fix things.
No.
People need to.
Yeah.
Get involved themselves.
It's about citizens getting involved
Yeah.
and, like, raising their voices.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Participating and holding those in power accountable.
Right. Okay, so we got to get the people involved.
Yes.
But then what?
Well, then you got to look at the system itself.
Okay.
Like, we need transparency,
Right.
accountability,
Okay.
strong monitoring systems.
Yeah.
Open data,
So,
citizen participation.
like oversight, right?
Oversight, yeah.
Okay.
Because if it all happens behind closed doors.
Yeah, then who knows what's going on?
Exactly. Corruption, inefficiency.
Yeah.
Sunlight's the best disinfectant,
Yeah.
right?
It really is, yeah.
So when you have transparent processes
Yeah.
and citizens are involved,
Yeah.
it's a system of checks and balances.
Right, okay.
Keeps things from going off the rails.
Yeah, I like it. But, you can have all that.
Right.
But if the politicians don't care,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
That's the next piece.
Yeah.
Political vision.
Yeah.
We need leaders that are in it for the long haul.
Right.
Not just the quick,
Yeah.
short-term gains.
Not the Band-Aids.
Not the Band-Aids.
Right.
They need to be thinking about
Yeah.
sustainable solutions.
Long game.
Long game.
Right.
It's about investing in the future of the nation.
Yeah, I like it. But can the government even do this alone?
Right. Yeah.
India's huge.
That's where the private sector comes in.
Oh, okay.
So the paper talks about public-private partnerships.
PPPs.
PPPs, yeah.
Okay. For those of us that don't know.
Yeah, so it's basically
What is that?
a collaboration
Right.
between the government
Yeah.
and private companies
Okay.
to fund and
Right.
manage these projects.
Okay.
So imagine,
Yeah.
the government brings the vision, the scale.
Okay.
The private sector
Yeah.
brings the efficiency, innovation.
Okay.
It's like a dance.
I like that, yeah.
Both partners working together.
Okay, so that's how you get stuff done.
That's how you get stuff done.
But how do you make sure it's fair?
Right. That's important.
Yeah.
You got to make sure these partnerships are
Yeah.
structured fairly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about...
Right, like corporations profiting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's got to be about development that helps everybody.
Right, okay.
And that brings us to the last piece.
Okay.
Inclusive planning. So development has to be inclusive,
Right.
meeting the needs of all communities,
Not just the rich people.
not just the privileged few.
Right.
It's about connecting people,
Yeah.
creating opportunities.
So everybody has a chance.
Everyone has a chance. Yeah.
Okay. So this all sounds good in theory,
Right.
but does this actually work?
That's what I love about this research.
Yeah.
It doesn't just talk about ideas.
Okay.
It shows us that it works.
Okay. Give me an example.
Okay. So there's the Swash Pirate mission.
Or
Yeah, the Clean India campaign.
Yeah.
So,
it was all about
yeah, launched in 2014.
sanitation.
Sanitation. Yeah, eliminating open defecation, solid waste management.
Right.
And, there's still work to do,
Okay.
but they've made huge progress.
So that's like proof that if you do things right,
Yeah,
it can work.
exactly.
What else?
Yeah.
What's another example?
Okay, so another one is the Delhi Metro.
Oh, yeah. Everybody talks about that.
Yeah, it's like
Like a success story.
a global success story.
Yeah.
So it's transformed public transport
Yeah.
in Delhi,
Okay.
provides a reliable, efficient,
Okay.
and eco-friendly alternative
to all the traffic.
to all the traffic. Yeah.
So how did they do it?
Well, the paper says it's because of
Yep.
meticulous planning, political support,
Okay.
and public cooperation.
All right.
So when citizens see that something's good,
Right.
they support it.
Yeah.
It works.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's not just like these big,
Right.
physical projects.
Right.
There's also the Digital India Initiative.
Oh, yeah, right.
So this aims to,
like the internet stuff.
improve internet access,
Okay.
digital literacy,
Right.
e-governance.
Right. So like the infrastructure for the future.
Exactly. For the 21st century.
Yeah.
Not just bricks and mortar, but also like
Yeah.
the connections.
Yeah. So we've got all these examples of things that are working.
Right.
So what do we need to do? What are the key takeaways?
Okay, so first of all, strategic planning.
Yeah.
Investment.
All right.
You got to have a clear roadmap.
Yeah. No more Band-Aids.
No more Band-Aids.
Yeah.
We need to think long term.
Okay. Long term.
Yeah. And then innovative solutions.
Okay.
Like embrace new technologies.
Okay. The smart
In
cities.
smart cities, yeah.
Yeah.
Green infrastructure,
Yeah.
sustainability.
That's the future.
That's the future.
Yeah.
And then capacity building.
What's that?
So like strengthening institutions,
Okay.
investing in training.
Right. So it's not just about
Yeah.
the ideas. You need the people.
You need the people to implement them
Yeah.
and the systems.
The systems, right?
Yeah.
To make it work.
And finally, the most important thing,
Okay.
citizen empowerment.
Okay.
Informed, engaged citizens that hold their leaders accountable.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful force for change.
Because ultimately, like,
Yeah.
the people are the ones living with this.
Right.
They're the ones who have to, like, demand better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being passive.
Right.
We all have a role to play.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot today.
Wait,
Like all this history,
right.
why people tolerate this,
Yeah.
what the consequences are,
The consequence.
and what we can do about it.
And the solutions. Yeah.
And it sounds like there's a lot of reasons to be
Yes.
hopeful.
There is.
Yeah.
And, this is not just an India problem.
Right.
This happens everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to leave you with something to think about.
Yeah.
Like, what are the infrastructure challenges
Yeah.
in your community,
Mm-hmm.
in your country?
Yeah. What role do you play?
What can you do?
Exactly.
What can you do to make things better?
Yeah. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into India's infrastructure.
Yes. Thank you.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing for a better world.